Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. In the last part we finally gained access to the gummy ship after leaving Traverse Town and finishing up some other duties over there, and we abandoned Wonderland immediately to access Deep Jungle here, and now it's time for us to continue through this world. This here is the Jungle Slide. This is a more or less just a method of traversal for right now, between certain parts of this world. With that said, there is going to be a mini-game variant of this we can do after clearing the world, so we're actively going to focus on that in a part or two if memory serves. While we're on our way to our next destination, though, worth noting, Tarzan's English voice is the same voice who played him in the movie that this world is based off of, as well as the PS1 game, as well as Tarzan on Tamed from 2001, Tony Goldwyn, who I think I remember most otherwise as playing Carl in the movie Ghost, off the top of my head.
Jane.
Tarzan. Oh, and who's this?
Hi there.
Oh, you speak English. So then, obviously you're not related to Tarzan. Are you here to study the gorillas?
Highly doubtful.
Sora! Goofy! Donald!
A circus of clowns. Not much use for hunting gorillas.
Mr. Clayton, we're studying them, not hunting them. This is research. Well, the more the merrier. Do make yourselves at home.
Well, anyway, I'm staying. Huh?
Sora, look what we found. Look at this.
What's that? A gummy block. It's the same stuff used to build our ship. So that means
The king could be here. So we've got to work together to look for him. For now.
fine. I'll let you tag along. For now. And we get a Protect Gummy for that, which we can actively eventually use to upgrade our gummy ship outright. And here we're allowed to change our party around again because we got everyone back. With that said, worth noting, in most cases in the game, I'm going to be sticking to the main party of Sora, Donald, and Goofy. You can only have up to 3 party members active at a time, and while the local world party member can be really useful in a lot of cases, on normal mode, they're not really super necessary. With that said, if you're playing on Proud mode, stick with Tarzan over Donald, maybe even over Goofy, as he's just going to be a lot more useful due to the fact he already has a curative ability in the long run. The chest right here hidden behind this blue trinity is kind of important, as this contains our first set of Dalmatian puppies, number 34, 35, and 36. As I believe I mentioned back when we first got that quest from the Dalmatians over in Traverse Town, we need to locate their 99 puppies located across the game's world. They are all in groups of 3, so there's 33 chests of them to find. We're going to be getting them all in this LP because, as I've said, this is effectively a 100% run. For right now, our main goal is to scour across Jane's camp here and grab these 6 slides. Some of them are hidden on top of things, some are hidden below things, a lot of them are actively on top of the tents. Usually they're pretty easy to spot, but for some reason I always have trouble finding at least one every playthrough, and I think it's usually just because I overthink where I'm looking. You can also investigate some items in this area for research notes. That'll actively give you recipes for items that aren't actively used in synthesis. It's more just little interactions you can do here in the camp. I do them both across the LP, but I can only do one of them right now, as one of them requires an attack spell I do not yet have access to. Worth noting in the meanwhile, Tarzan's Japanese VA is Jirota Kosugi, who voiced Jotaro in the 90s Stardust Crusaders OVA, Duo in Mega Man 8, K. Rool in the Japanese dub of the Donkey Kong Country cartoon, Arlong in One Piece, Asuma in Naruto, and Lyric in Sonic Boom. What a range. Clayton's the name. I'm a hunter, not a researcher. Nice to meet you, Clayton. Don't point that gun in my face or I will deck you with my metal pipe that just happens to look like a key. Now, while I can't do one of these special interactions here in the camp, I can do the other because I already have the fire spell. Notably, you can hit this stove in order to open it, you can put a potion in the pot, and then cast a fire spell into the stove to heat up the potion, which will eventually transform it into a high potion for free. With that out of the way, we now have all 6 slides as well, so we can head back into the tent and give them to Jane. With that said, I actively did things a little out of order here. You're actively meant to talk to Jane first to get the hint to go get the slides, but I just remember I can do it always by heart, really, at this point. Apparently Tarzan was raised in the jungle by the gorillas. Communicating with him still isn't easy, but he's learning. So he was speaking in gorilla back there. Ah, that's right. You're looking for your friends? He said Riku and Kairi are here, and one word I couldn't understand. Why don't we try this? We'll show Tarzan some slides and see if any of them match that word. Oh, what happened to the slides? I already have them all right here in my back pocket. I stole them. Did you find the slides? They must be lying around the camp somewhere. What's wrong, Sora? What? Nothing. This place, it just looks so familiar. But how? I've never been off my island. Well, that's definitely a little odd, but it probably means nothing. Let's just cycle through the rest of the slides from the movie and get into our next cutscene.
Well, Tarzan?
Where are my friends, Riku and Kairi? Hey, I thought...
That leaves just one place. Young man, we've been in this jungle for some time now. But we have yet to encounter these friends of yours. I'd wager they're with the gorillas, but Tarzan refuses to take us to them.
Really, Mr. Clayton? Tarzan wouldn't hide...
Then take us there. Take us to the gorillas. Gorillas.
Tarzan, are you sure?
Tarzan, go see Kerchak.
Kerchak?
He must be the leader. Perfect. I'll go along as an escort. After all, the jungle is a dangerous place.
Surely a trustworthy smile. With that, we now have to go to explore further into Deep Jungle and find our way to the part that every kid I knew hated when they played this game, myself included. A good way to put it is that Deep Jungle is separated into 3 distinct sections. The jungle floor where we are right now, where the camp is, and a few screens beyond the camp are. The top of the jungle where the jungle slide mechanic starts, the room that's next to that, as well as the treehouse, and then the in-between space. Right now, though, we actively have one of the most annoying jumps in the game to make, from either this one or the other tree opposite from it. You can actively make your way across here to that treasure chest, but it is a precise jump. I was here for a couple minutes trying this. I do generally have better luck from this one over here, but it's really just 50-50, really. You can just wait until you get the inevitable jump upgrade later on in the game before doing this, but I'd rather get the Meteor G here now. Worth noting, the only punishment that happens by falling into the water here is you need to climb back out and then jump again to get to something. With that said, Sora can only climb out of water when the platform is directly above the water level, or if it's a ramp. For instance, any of the other platforms here that aren't the one to my right or the one on the far side here, he cannot actively jump onto because they are too high for him to cling onto at the moment. The reason me and several others that I knew had trouble navigating this world as a kid is A, it admittedly is kind of samey looking because it's all, you know, a jungle, but also there's the 2 vine screens. On these, you can jump onto vines and jump onto the next one with proper timing. With that said, as long as you just mash the triangle button here in the HD remix, you'll get through no problem. It is very easy to get turned around in these screens and not know where you're going. And on the PS2, it was honestly kind of iffy to time it as well, not for nothing. Nowadays, though, I have a decent grasp on it, but it took a long time to get that down. For right now, let's actually talk more about the game's voice cast. Specifically, let's start with Jane. Jane in this game is actively not voiced by Julie Burrows, who voiced her in the movie. She's instead voiced by Nia Kelly, who also voiced Jane in Tarzan Untamed and Disney's Activity Center Tarzan. Notably, she's also not the person who voiced Jane in the cartoon. That was Olivia Diabo. Jane's Japanese VA, on the other hand, is Mayumi Suzuki, who is in general the Japanese audio track voice for Jane whenever she appears in something, Ariel from The Little Mermaid whenever she appears in something, as well as Princess Aurora from Sleeping Beauty whenever she appears in something. Heading to the side over here is Vines 2, which is our main destination for the plot right now.
Kerchak, please listen to me. I know the nesting grounds are secret, but I trust them. You see, I want to help them because, well, they need us.
Oh, did you get that?
Kerchak, Kerchak.
Oh, he seems sort of distracted by something.
Was he looking toward the treehouse?
So that's our hint for where to go next. We need to head back to the treehouse. And you can actively do so pretty quickly by actively just taking the vine that was on the tree we were looking at when the cutscene ended. But here in Vines 2, there's also some items I want to grab, so we're going to go out of the way for those first. Now, I went to Vines 1 first because there were some treasure chests there, but you can actually come right here to Vines 2 by climbing the vine that was next to the Dalmatian chest we got back in the Hippo area, at the far end of where the Hippo Lake is. In fact, largely if I come back to this world, I head to the camp first, then just head to the Hippo area to climb up here, to climb up to the treehouse via that method rather than going to Vines 1 at all, really. While we're along the way, though, worth noting that Clayton's English voice actor here is actually the same voice actor he had in the movie, Brian Blessed. He has a very long and storied career of every type of acting imaginable, really, but he's also known for playing Conrad Keezer in Kingdom Come Deliverance, Charlemagne in the Troll Hunters universe, Prince Voltan in the Flash Gordon movie, Lord Loxley in the Costner Robin Hood movie, as well as good old Boss Nass in Phantom Menace. He also technically voiced Tarzan in the movie, in that he's the one who actively delivered the iconic yell that the character's really known for nowadays.
What's the big idea?
Wait, Kerchak, please.
You don't understand. I was only trying to. A snake slithered by. You see, I saved that poor gorilla's life.
You hear that? You can hear the sound of no one believing him. With that said, now that we're done here at the treehouse, we just need to head back to the camp. In the meanwhile, worth noting, Clayton's Japanese voice actor is Banjo Ginga, who is the voice of Giran Zabi in Mobile Suit Gundam, Killer Croc in the Japanese dub of Batman the Animated Series, Tong Poo in Cowboy Bebop, the customer service guy in the Kirby anime, Bobo from Mayor, is the voice in general for Liquid Snake and Major Zero from Metal Gear. He's the Yard and Dr. Loud from Artanelico, Reeve in the Final Fantasy VII voice cast, Fusoya in the DS version of Final Fantasy IV, on top of many, many other roles. Oh, and also this guy called King Neptune.
My hair is thinning a bit.
Oh, Your Highness, I'm sure it's not that noticeable.
Classic. So when you actively are on the way back to the tent, you will actively get jumped by Sabor again. With that said, you don't need to fight him. You can just completely ignore him and walk into the tent, and he will despawn. But hey, you might as well fight him if you're trying to get some extra experience along the way, because I do think if you reduce his HP enough, not only does he flee, you do get some experience from it. With that said, if you're on Proud Mode, I'd recommend just ignoring the fight, period. With that said, while my goal is to enter the tent, I do actually want to go out of my way to follow where Sabor is going right now. As while we've had access to the bamboo thicket and beyond before, I wanted to wait until now just so it was more in the way of what I was going to do. This eventually leads us to the cliffside area, and there's a chest or two we can get here along the way. Now, we do eventually need to come here for the world's plot as it is, twice even, but I'm coming here now for two reasons. A, there's no enemies here right now. And B, when we need to come to this room later on, if I'm not careful, I might be too distracted by the main reason I'm here to remember to grab these, so better just to separate them in my head and just do 3 visits to this room at minimum. With that, let's head back to the camp here and see what's going to happen next in the tent.
How could you do such a thing?
Now, Miss Porter, as I told you, I was not aiming at the gorilla.
You are not to go near the gorillas again.
Oh, because of one mishap. Come now. Huh? What am I doing with these imbeciles? Blasted gorillas! I'll hunt down every last one of them! I'll track them down somehow. I'll stake my life on it.
Well, that seems off-putting. Don't mind Mr. Clayton. He's not a bad person, just a bit impetuous.
Heartless!
With that set of cutscenes out of the way, Heartless have now spawned all across Deep Jungle, and they're largely going to come in two varieties of monkey. Here we got Power Wilds, which are actively really annoying Heartless no matter when in the game you encounter them, as they're very evasive compared to everything we've fought up to now. More often than not, if you go for a direct physical attack, they'll dodge out of the way once or twice before you can actively get a shot in, but you can sort of get around that by leading in with a fire cast to stun them for a second. Otherwise, when it comes to their attack, they can just outwardly scratch with their hands, they can slide into you, which actively does a lot of damage, and then they can just jump to scratch you as well, which also counts as an evasion. More often than not, when they jump out of the way of your physical attacks too, they'll also immediately follow up with one of their own, usually the slide, but sometimes the jump attack. It really depends on their mood, really. So, with that now out of the way, we got an item from that gorilla. We need to find several other gorillas across Deep Jungle now, and save them from Heartless as well in order to progress the world's plot. Specifically, they are in the cliffside area, the bamboo thicket here, there's one at the treehouse, and there's also one in the area right before the treehouse that I can never remember the name of, the big green circular room. I'm going to be speeding up these combat encounters because it's all just against Power Wilds, don't need to worry too much about it if you beat the first group of them pretty easily. With that said, thankfully they don't throw any of their cousins in here as well, which could be the really rough thing, the bouncy wilds, which I think we see momentarily. In that specific combat encounter, though, I actually got a new ability for Sword of Berserk, which I take on and off depending on what I want from my AP at the moment. What Berserk does is that if your HP is critically low, so you're actively hearing the alarm sound and everything, your attack power gets boosted by some amount I can never remember. It's pretty good in a pinch, especially on Proud Mode. With that said, that 1 AP that it costs can really be helpful in other ways depending on what you're building into. With that said, you only get that at that level if you chose the Dream Shield at the start of the game. If you chose the Dream Sword, you instead get Scan, which costs 1 AP to equip, and will actively show you the current HP of any enemy you're facing. Meanwhile, choosers of the Dream Rod at that level will get Treasure Magnet, which costs 2 AP to equip, and increases the range from which you can pick up prizes from enemies. This here is actively our first Kingdom Hearts Final Mix exclusive enemy, the Black Ballad. This is our first example of what most of the Final Mix enemies largely are here for Kingdom Hearts 1 mini-games to get ingredients for the Synthesis side quest Shane will be tackling way later on in the game. For the Black Ballad here specifically, the enemy spawns in 4 fake versions of itself, jumps up for a moment to indicate the real one, and then it and its clones all move around wildly before stopping. You then need to guess which one is the real one. Guessing the right one will get you some tech points, money, and health drops, while guessing the wrong one will get a thunder spell thrown at your face. Then the minigame continues. A good way to follow the correct one is to get some distance between you like this so you can see more of its movements, and then pause buffer to follow its movements even more precisely. Every time you hit the enemy correctly, there is a 10% base chance it'll drop an item called a Lightning Stone, with an additional 100% chance for it to drop if you hit the correct one 4 times. Worth noting, there's an ability in the game known as Lucky Strike that we'll talk more about the exact math of later on. But what that actively does is boost the drop rates of items from enemies. And if you equip all of the ones in the game you can and do this, that base 10% chance I believe goes up to about a 25% chance. I largely try to do all these minigames at the end of the game, but if I find one along the way, I think I do try to show it off. Worth noting in general right now, any item you find in the game that ends in like shard, stone, gem, or things like mithrils are actively part of the Synthesis quest line, and I try to save that quest line itself as well as any minigames tied to it for endgame, but if I run into one along the way, I do generally try to show it off. Right there, Donald also learned Berserk, which is nice, but more importantly, a moment ago, Goofy learned Jackpot from leveling up. If it's not already obvious from Donald learning Berserk as well, while every party member has a slew of unique abilities, there are several that each party member learns, sometimes each of them learning several of that single ability. Whenever that happens, usually stacking the ability across your entire party will boost its effects, as I brought up with Lucky Strike a moment ago when I was talking about the Black Ballads. Jackpot by itself actively increases the amount of orbs enemies will drop upon death, so if I equip that on Goofy, more health and money will drop from every Heartless I kill. By default, just equipping the first jackpot ability you gain, which costs, I believe, 2 AP, by the way, that will boost enemy orb drops by half to a total of 1.5 times. When you eventually equip it on your entire party, though, that stacks up to a total of 2.5 times the basic orb drops, which means you'll have plenty more ways to recover your health or MP in battle, let alone actively gain a lot more money. This part of this world has always felt really alien to me, I won't lie, because it's one of the few times the game actively does a proper search and destroy across its worlds. Heck, it's one of the few times they actively do it like this in the entire series off the top of my head, at least to this extent. Largely, if they have you do this otherwise in the game, it's usually across a much smaller area rather than just the entire world. Which in a way is actively kind of tragic, because there's actively a really fun story located behind the scenes for Deep Jungle when it came to the development staff for the game. But unfortunately, it also goes into the slight copyright issues this level caused for Square and Disney moving forward, but I'll save talking about that for next time. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in Part 7, we're going to go finish our time here in Deep Jungle. See you guys then.